Welcome to Java Payroll System. I'm going to start a new project. Select Java and Java application right there. Click on next. Just give it a name right there. I'm going to call it Payroll _s. So I'll get rid of create main class because I don't need that. Click on next. So the next thing is to right click on this very Java application right there and go to select JFrame and just give it a name. So that's the name I'll be calling my project. Give the package a name as well, and that's the name of the package. Click on finish. Once you click on finish, that's the form that you get. Make sure the form is selected. Go to project, whatever size you intend to give your form. So I intend to set my own size to be approximately, just go for 1000 plus. Yeah, that's cool. 1366 by 688. Click on OK. Now that the form size is taken care of, the next thing I would do next is just to add the following. Okay, let me just move this form down a little bit more, and I'm going to need some panel right here. Let's get a panel right there. Yep, put a panel right there, and this very panel, I will now change the border style. Let me change the border style to something, maybe go for bevel border, and yep, that's fine. Just set the size of this very border the way I want, or the very panel the way I want. That's it right there. I'm gonna need a couple of those. I might as well just copy, paste it right there, copy and paste there. Just drag it down, and I'm going to copy more of those. So now I have my panel right there. I then need a couple of insert some labels right here. I need some labels there. I don't need these labels. There they are. Good. Yep. So just let me speed this up and I'll get back to you guys. Okay guys, this is how the interface is looking right now. Here I have the labels. I have text box here. I have labels here as well. Text box. Those are the labels. Right here, if you notice the panel, that's it right there. So let me take you to the other side. In fact, let me just compile, save, compile and run so that you guys see how it all looks like. Okay, let's run it now. That's how the program looks right now. So I have, these are all labels right there, and right here those are text box. Those are text boxes, and I also have a text box right here. So I have labels here as well. These are all labels as well because they will only be just read only. All of the grayed out component are all read only, but right here I have a combo box. That's a combo box, right? Another combo box. Enter A to G there. That's just to represent the tax code, and the tax period. It's a combo box with 1 to 12. So the first period 1, 2, 3, just according to the months up to December. So one start from January, June up to December. So this depend on the tax period. And right here is just where you enter the national insurance number, the national insurance number code, which is right there. So if you have 00, that means you don't get any exemption before your tax. But let's say you go for C500, 5,000 is taken out of your wages, annual wages, and the rest will then be taxed. Let's say it's 8,000, the same thing. You save 8,000 of your wages before tax. Okay, that's the total tax you paid for the year, total pension you pay for the year, net pay, and so on. And here I have add up, that will add up all the amounts that you will be paid and the amount of tax that you receive. That's the reset button. In fact, none of these are working yet, so I will start by coding the exit button right here. Let's come in here, double click on that, and just right there, all you just need to say for the exit button is systems.exit. okay, right there, and make sure you enter your integer 0 there. Enter, that is number 0 there. Okay, that's that sorted. So if I run the program now, oh sorry, I was meant to compile it. Let's see if it works. Yes, it works. Okay, that's fine. So let's go back into the reset button. For the reset to work, you must have, in my case, I've given each of my component names. So if I right click on this very component, change variable name, that's the name right there. So if I copy this very name, okay, you can see the name is JTXT employee's name. Okay, if I then go in here, scroll right down, double click on the reset, all I need to then do is just paste JTXT employee name dot set text, that's the text right there, set text to null. So that's it. That means whatever I enter inside that very component, let's save and compile, then run it. So if I enter anything, let's say that's the employee name in there, okay, click on reset, that's it, gone. So what I would do next is to repeat exactly the same thing for the rest of the components. Then I'll get back to you guys. So let's just exit, repeat exactly the same thing for the rest of the component, like I said. So right underneath here, just enter the following. That's it. That is the, let me show you guys the codes. Those are the lines of code just to clear every single component in there. So let's just bring this here. Oh yeah, that's fine. So just realign the rest. Alright, sorry. Okay, now that is all realigned, there they are. You can see every single component's name is related to the labels: employee's name, postcode, county, address, national insurance number, student loan, pension, tax, pensionable pay, taxable pay, national insurance paid, recommendation, net pay, total deduction, gross pay, and so on. That's it right there. Overtime, basic pay, inner city tax, employee's name, employer's name, reference number, and that is it right here. You can see it. Let me run it so that you guys can see it. And there they are. You can see the name is related up to each of the labels right there. So what I will do next now is to start with the coding for the wages. So let's say I enter whatever I intend to enter here. It's just to demonstrate that the text box works. As for the labels, I cannot enter anything there. So if I click on reset, that's it, all gone. Exit, and let's start with the final coding. Okay, I will now start by double clicking on these add wages. So let's enter the following lines of codes. Okay, so that's the following lines of codes for payroll addition, or adding whatever amount the customer, the end user will have to pay for tax, student loan, and so on. So let me show you why I have A000 there. So if I come in here, let's say I go in here, right here, so I have A00 in there. So let me show you the property. In the model right there, I've entered A000, then A3000, B 4000, C 5000, and so on. Okay, so depend on any of these tax codes selected. Let's say 9000 is selected, so that means you are exempted from £9,000 before tax. So that's the whole idea of the tax code. So if I double click on the add wages, so what I would then do is use if statements. So before that, let me just create all my else ifs. So come down here and just say else ifs if it's A3000, I believe that's where it starts from. Then the next one is else if item selected is a B4000, I think. I think I have B4000 there, B4000, and let's see the rest part of it. Anyway, I also have, let's select it. Okay, C, D. Okay then, so let's take it from C5000. Now let's go back into the code. Now we have C5000, C5000. Then we have D6000, D6, E7000, $8,000, that would be F8000, and G9000 there. Okay, so I will now carry out a calculation in each of these if statements. So I need to study the program, the way the interface looks, then we can then finish up with the calculation right there. But just before then, since I have the layout of my program, let me now come inside the design here. I will double click on reset because I intend to use the code in here, just to paste the very codes in here into new payment. So double click on here and just copy all of these lines of codes there. Guess you guys saw those lines of codes earlier on. Now go into design, double click on new payment. Let's highlight that and paste that right there, and that is for new employee. Okay, it's more or less like a reset button as well. Alright, so the reset button is set, new payment is set as well, and that's fine. Okay, so if I compile, let's see, if I compile and run, okay, let's run it and see. Whatever I enter in here, I can new payment, that's fine. But if I select anything here, nothing will happen yet. Nothing will happen yet because I have not actually finished up with the coding. Okay, let's exit. Okay, since I've more or less completed the framework of the calculations, what I would do next is let me declare some variables right up here, just right here, there. Okay, so the first one, but before then, let's see the names of these each of the component. I have inner city. Okay, then I have basic salary and overtime. So let's get back into it. Well, let's say double inner city. Now we now go for double basic. Let's say basic wages, then followed by double overtime there. So the next thing is I will now come into the add wages right here, just double click on it. If the combo box gets A00, then what will happen is I would like inner city. Let's say no, yeah, inner city. Let's go for, okay, we might as well just say right up here, we say inner city. I guess I'm right. Inner city equals double. Okay, I think this variable is wrong. Okay, that's the right name. Inner city dot, okay, post double, and the name of that particular component right here, this one, right click on it and find the name. That's the name, txt inner city. That's right. Come back in here and just paste that straight in there and enter. Yep, and just end it with that. Okay, that should be, and that is should be get test. Okay, that is correct. So the next one is, I might as well just copy that, dump it right there, and the variable is called basic wage. Put that in there, and followed by overtime. Now what are the names of those components right there? This one is called basic wage, and this one, let me just look at the name. Okay, overtime. So let's go back in the code, and this becomes that, and why these become overtime there. So what I've just done is whatever amount is entered into any of these component right here is stored into these variables. Okay, so that's out of the way now. Alright, okay, the next thing is we need to add up all of this. So maybe I should declare another variable. So I'll just declare one more. I will call that variable gross. Copy that, just paste it, change this one to gross there. So this gross, we will add up all of these variables right here. Gross equals inner city itself plus basic wage, and add that together plus this and there. Okay, now we need to output the total of everything into gross right here. So let's find out the name of this. The name of this is called JLBL gross. So JLBL gross, we have to set the total value into JSBS gross. So, but before that, we need to convert as follows. So let me just paste that in there and comment it out, or just say set text. Okay, I will comment this out for now, and before then we need to convert this. So let's say string, so we then say string gross pay equals string, format this this variable right there. Variable is then assigned here, so we get the gross pay. Copy. It has to be converted to string because it's only string that can go into that very component label right there. Okay, that's that done. So if I run this very program now, let me just run it and see if it works, and if it works, we can then use whatever we got in here to code whatever selection is made in here. Okay, so let's just save, compile, and run. Alright, so let me enter some amount in there. Okay, so let's add that up. So that's our overtime. Add, and I expect the overall answer right there. So let's click. Okay, so if we add that up, that's about right. That is correct. The other thing we need to do is to convert this to pound sign, so which we can always get sorted. Yeah, we can do that later on. Alright, so that is sorted really. Now I can just copy this. Let's convert it to the pound sign, bring it right down here, right here, underneath here. We'll do that here. Just say pound. Yeah, let's put a plus there. Okay, let's see if it's gonna work. Alright, whatever. Okay, so add, yeah, that is fine. That's working as expected. Okay, so the next thing now is to now work out tax, pension, student loan, and so on. Okay, let's do that. And that's based on the selection that is made here. Alright. Okay, since we know it's working, we might as well just deal with the tax part of it. So the very first tax I'll deal with is, I might as well just declare variable A 00, variable A30, and variable B40, C50. So let's try out the very first variable. So we say A00 equals gross. We multiply gross by, let's say the tax rate is about 9%, divide by 100 right there, enter your semicolon here, and that is supposed, let's enter the division sign. Then we now say we now need to convert that to string. Okay, let's copy all of these, copy, paste that right in there, and let's call that total paid, tax paid, and the tax paid is meant to be A00. That is the tax paid. Now we want this value inside JLBL tax dot set text, whatever we're setting, that's it right there, correct. And now let's copy this and convert it to a pound sign right here, there. Okay, so let's try this out. So if I run the program now, let's say I might as well just build and run. If I say, let's say that's supposed to be the wages per month. Oh, sorry, that should be the inner city waiting, and the wages is about that, and overtime there. So if I click on add wages, that's what you get. You see that? Can you guys see that? So the total tax paid is this. So we need to now deduct pension, student loan, and the NI payments. So let's get that done as well. Okay, so we have the gross, the tax sorted. We need to sort the following: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, so we're actually making a progress. So let's go back. Okay, now that I've got that working, let me declare some more variables. So that'll be variable deduction, variable pension, variable student loan. There, let me see what else is left. Okay, and variable NI payment, there. Now if you notice, you can notice some underlines there. It's because those variables have not been used. So right here, so let's say variable deduction equals, we need to deduct gross minus A. Okay, so when we deduct that, and we now say, let's use pension equals deduction. Let's say the pension paid is approximately 12%, multiplied by 12, divided by 100, and let's enter close bracket right there. So deduction, wrong spelling there. So the deduction is sorted as well. Now we now need to convert pension to something else. Let's convert it to string. So right here we say pension paid, and that will be pension right here, there. Now right underneath here we now say LBL pension dot set text right there, and the text we're setting is pension paid. Copy that, paste that in there, press enter. I'm just going to copy this and convert it to pound sign as well. Paste it underneath there, pound sign plus, there. So let's save, compile, and run. Let's check this out. Okay, now this inner city within and the wages and overtime, add wages. As you guys can see, gross pay, the tax paid so far, pension paid, and now we need a student loan payment and NI payment as well, and that will be all for that. So I'm just going to copy these two codes and just change it around. So end the program. Okay, so we now need out of the student loan. Now that we know or the amount of pension this guy is paying per month, so let's go for student loan right there, maybe right in here as well. The student loan will be somewhere here because we need to know the total here and the total here. Yeah, that's right. So let's work that out now. And right here, let's say student loan, I think that's in capital. Yeah, that's right. I might as well copy it, yeah, paste it there, equals pension plus, yeah, we're adding this up, right, that will give me the student loan. Now we need to deduct, so let's go for student loan as well. Student loan, we need to deduct student loan equals gross minus student loan. Okay, and I think we're going to end up and say student loan again multiplied by student loan. Let's put that in a bracket right there, multiply by, let's supposing you paying about 5.7%, and you divide by 100. That's your student loan there, so that's fine. Okay, so we also need to get that formatted. So we need to get that formatted as, let's just copy all of these and just change it around there. And right here we say call that student loan paid, and we bring student loan right here, then the spelling, copy and just paste it there. Right, that is the student loan. Then this would be the student loan payment. Copy, paste that in here. Okay, we now need to know the name of this very student loan box. Right click, check out the name. Okay, JLBL student loan. So come in here, and that becomes JLBL student loan. Just copy it and paste this there, and this become, enter the pound sign. Yeah, so we've worked out the student loan as well. So tax is done, pension is done, student loan is done. So let me just show you guys how the codes are looking right now. You see that is in the add wages button right there. That's for the very first if statement. Once that is sorted, the rest can be easily tackled. Alright, so once I do this, the rest will just be copy and paste because it's gonna take very long to finish that. Right, so let me run the program now. Run. Okay, inner city waiting, wages and overtime. Okay, so add wages there, tax paid, pension and student loan paid for the month. Okay, the next thing is to finish up this and add up everything in here right there. We're making a progress, so let's get this one sorted. Exit. Okay, for the NI payment, let's add up everything. So right here I have my NI payment equals student loan and following. So just copy that, paste that right there, enter the plus sign there, and that's it. We've added everything together. Now we need to find out what this guy paid in a month for his or our NI. NI equals NI multiplied by, let's say he's paying about 4.2%, divided by 100 and just close it. That's how much he pays for his national insurance number. Okay, now we know it's NI. That is out of the way. We now need to deduct that from this very one, Okay, that's how much he pays anyway. Okay, there's something missing. This was supposed to be NI right here. NI equals gross minus NI. Okay, now this is correct. That is what he's paying per month for his NI. So the next thing we now need to do is get all of this information so that we know how much he paid. Copy, paste that right there, and just change that to NI payment there, and this one become NI payment. Let's copy that and paste that in here. There. I think this one is also called J. Yep, that's correct. JLBLNI. So that's his NI payment right there. Copy, paste, paste, and just copy and paste this. So we've been able to work out everything now. So I'm just gonna save, compile, and run. Okay, so add it all up. That's how much is paid for the year or per month, okay, or this month for his NI. So all we now need to do is to add up everything and get the total deduction. So the total deduction is then deducted from gross pay to give us net pay. So let's do that now. Exit. So we declare another variable there, so let's just call it total deduction. Right, copy. Right underneath here I have my total deduction, which will become NI payment, actually NI payment there, and pension, take that off. Okay, that's it. That is my total deduction carried out. That's good. So if I run the program now, let me just show you guys the codes one more time. These are all my variables. Okay, bring it down. That is just for the first if statement. Okay, if I save, run, I'm sorry it's taking a bit of a long time than expected, but it's gonna work out fine. Let's say that's the whole time there. So the total deduction needs to now go in here. Okay, now let's work that out. So total deduction, copy all of this, pay, undo. What have I done? Okay, let's try again. Copy all of this, paste it right underneath here. Now total deduction, we need to convert that to a string. Copy, convert to total, let's just say T deduction. Take T deduction, copy, paste it right in here, and T deduction comes here. Now we need to know the name of these very components, this very one, deduction. Right click, change variable, copy. It's called JLBL deduction. So come back in here and change this to JLBL deduction right there, paste. So total deduction is sorted. Now save, compile, run. So that's the inner city within. So let's enter that in there, and we'll come in here maybe over time and just add there. That is the total deduction. Now we now have to deduct this very one from this to get the net pay. Okay, let's do that. The net pay. So that is the total deduction right here. So we need one more variable to get the net pay sorted. Right here, comma, net pay. So net pay right underneath here equals gross minus total deduction. Actually, it should be up here. Cut, paste it right up there. That is for the net pay. So we now have to convert this to string as well. Let me just copy as usual and just carry out few changes. Net pay, paste that right in here, and total net. Let me just change that to total net pay. Copy this. That's the string, and this one becomes, I think it's actually called net pay. Let's hope so. Yeah, that is correct. Copy. No, copy this. All of this actually. Yeah, might as well just copy that. Just replace it with this. And just go for pound sign there, space plus. So we get our net pay as well. So let's save, compile, run. Enter the inner city within, wages there, overtime, and there. So if we deduct this from this, we should get this. So let's check that out. Get your calculator and get that sorted. Okay guys, I suppose you get that sorted with your calculator. So that is the right answer. Okay, so all that is left for us now is just to work out how much is paid and how much is paid for the tax year, with depend on whatever value is in here. If it's 4, so it's going to be 4 multiplied by this that goes in there, and 4 multiplied by this comes in here. Okay, to speed up the process, I've actually completed the taxable and pensionable. Okay, so if I double click here, I can always just add those ones right here. So let's add them here. Alright, that's the code for the taxable and the pensionable. So what that means is, for the tax paid so far, let's say it's month number 4, you just need to say is 4 multiplied by the tax paid so far. Okay, and the pension also is the same, the 4th month of the year multiplied by pension. Okay, and that will give you the pension you've paid over the years. So if I compile, save, compile, run the program right now. Okay, let's say that's the within, and this is the wages, overtime, or whatever is owed extra, and the period, let's say it's period 4 of the tax year. The code in this case, we're still using the emergency tax code, which is all zeros. And if I click on add there, so for the tax year, the 4th month of the tax year, that is the total tax this man has paid so far, and the pension paid so far, that's it right there. And the tax paid so far, pension for that month, student loan for that month, and national insurance number. So that's the deduction, that's the total deduction. If you subtract that from this, and that's what you get once this is subtracted from this. Okay, so that's all set now. So all that's left for us to do now is to work out this. If any of this is selected, what will happen to this? So in that case, let's say this guy is on code E. In that case, it earns £7,000 without tax in a year before whatever tax is taken off. So this, we have to divide this by 12 and add what we get to the net pay. That will give us E. So to do that is quite easy. So all we need to do now is exit the system, copy the whole lines of codes within the if statement right here. Okay, we copy that and we now paste that right in here. Paste it right here, there. So this is for 3,000 there. So if it's 3,000, this is what will happen. It's all the same, but the difference is you gain £3,000 extra in a year. So we have to divide that by 12. So all we then need to do somewhere here is to work out, is to divide the 3,000 by 12. So let's do that here. We need a variable for that, and the variable in this case is A30 equals 3,000 divided by 12. That's it there. So whatever you get here, you then add it to the net pay. That's the net pay right there, and that will become net pay equals net pay plus that there. That is it, sorted. That's how simple it is. So we've worked out that of £3,000 before tax for the whole tax year. So all of the ones is just, you might as well copy these, copy and go for 4,000 right here, paste that in there. In this case, that becomes B40, B40, and is the B40 that is added right here. B40, that is a sorted. So that's all there is to it. So I'm just going to speed this up, and we can then round up this program. Okay guys, this is how the whole program looks now, and that is if we state the period of payment. Okay, if you notice, we now multiply by 4, and that's what we get. So supposing, okay, since that is the 4th period, then, and supposing this guy is on E. Okay, code E 700. That's it. You can see the difference. You can see the difference in the wages. Okay, if you want to work that out, add this together, and you then divide this by, divide 7,000 by 12, then add that to whatever is left, and that's what you end up with. And up here you might be wondering what's meant to be there. That's the customer name, of course, or the employee name. So let's say Tony King. That's Tony King in there. Tony King, yeah. An address maybe 146. Let's say 146 Stanlook Road there. County, we can just call that maybe Dallas or whatever. Postcode and reference number. Maybe we need to generate that, but that might be another tutorial because this is taking too long. An employer name, let's call that Green Aviations. Employee name, that's also Tony King. There. So all that is left here is just to enter the date. We can always generate the date as well, and national insurance number, of course, that's it right there. And whatever recommendation you intend to enter here, okay, you can just say August wages input or stroke pay slip there. And that is how you develop a payroll system using Java NetBeans. But just before I leave, let me show you guys the codes one more time. So I'll take it from the top. Those are the global variables, and if we scroll right down, this is the resets. These are the reset lines of codes. Okay, can you see that? And here I have the exit, and here we have the calculations. This is the calculation from here. Let's take it down. Okay. So actually, if you have any need for these lines of codes, just send me an email and I'll forward it to you. Okay. It's been a very long tutorial, but you will enjoy it and you get the hang of it. So it's just the same lines of code actually. And I suppose that is all to these very lines of codes. With that, I'll say bye for now, guys. You all have a nice day now.